when a negotiated peace becomes a surrender. President Donald Trump sidelining Ukraine, bending to Russian President Vladimir Putin's will, and promising an immediate end to the war on Russia's terms. Welcome to the No Spin Zone. Graphs Grievances starts right now. Aside from Donald Trump himself, it is likely that no one will benefit more from his electoral victory than Russian leader Vladimir Putin. Almost 3 years ago to the day, authoritarian Russia launched an unprovoked invasion of democratic Ukraine and initiated what has become the largest and deadliest conflict in Europe since World War II. When the Putin-led assault began, military analysts almost universally said that Russia, with its almighty army, would take Kyiv within a week, easily decimating Ukrainian forces. But despite this widely held misconception, Ukraine, under the truly heroic leadership of President Vladimir Zelensky, has fought Russia to a standstill. Key to Ukraine's success defending their sovereignty has been the generosity of the American people. Since the war began in February 2024, the U.S. allocating over $180 billion in support for Ukraine, with $66 billion of that going directly to military aid, including weapon systems, air defense, and tactical support. Initially, Americans and their elected representatives united in support of Ukraine's courageous resistance against Putin's aggressive takeover. But over time, Republican politicians and those in the right-wing media ecosystem began questioning the United States' support for Ukraine. This skepticism quickly growing into outright contempt for Ukraine, with Donald Trump's reemergence as head of the Republican Party. The former Manhattan Playboy billionaire has long expressed admiration for Putin, a totalitarian dictator who has murdered a long list of his political opponents, imprisoned dissidents, and repeatedly invaded sovereign countries. And that reign of terror is precisely why Trump loves him. Trump wants to have the complete power that Putin has. So with Trump now back in the White House, he is quickly working to implement his now broken campaign promise to end the war between Russia and Ukraine on day one of his new administration. Although Trump didn't meet his diabolical timeline, he is on the verge of ending the war exactly how many of us feared, by surrendering to Russia. That submission to his good friend Putin expected to come by Trump cutting off all U.S. support for Ukraine, without which they can't continue to fight. Wednesday, in a lengthy call with Putin, Trump reportedly reinforced the Russian leader's view that he and Trump should decide the fate of Ukraine, without Ukraine's input.
Do you view Ukraine as an equal member of this peace process?
It's an interesting question. I think they have to make peace. Their people are being killed, and I think they have to make peace.
We will continue to provide.
I said that was not a good war to go into, and I think they have to make peace. That's what I think.
Trump speaking to reporters after his call with Putin and echoing Russia's talking points, blaming Ukraine for getting into a war with Russia. Of course, that's not what happened. Ukraine did not want or provoke Russia's full-scale invasion of their sovereign country. And as that insane rewriting of history was happening in the Oval Office yesterday, Trump's newly sworn-in Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, was declaring that the U.S. would not support Ukraine's desire to join NATO. The political and military alliance of countries from Europe and North America created during the Cold War for the precise reason to provide collective security against Russia. Hegseth also declaring that it is unrealistic for Ukraine to restore its borders as they were before Russia first annexed Crimea in 2014. So, you see what's going on here. Trump is making all of these concessions to Putin and not even allowing President Zelensky of Ukraine a seat at the negotiating table. And that is because, in Trump's mind, there is nothing to negotiate. Russia deserves to conquer Ukraine, or at least the US is going to do nothing to stop that from happening. And I appreciate that this foreign conflict is nowhere near the most important issue for the American people. But this surrender to Russia is not just Ukraine's surrender or Trump's surrender, but America's surrender to Russia. In our name, Trump is sending a message to the world that the United States will no longer stand up for democracy and human rights. I've long believed it's not America's role to invade and remake other nations in our image. But that's not what is happening here. Ukraine is a sovereign democratic nation attacked by a dictator bent on territorial expansion. The US rightly never sent troops to Ukraine, but helped fund their defense of their homeland, and perhaps more importantly, exposed Russia's army as a paper tiger. By Trump surrendering to Putin, US security interests will be harmed far beyond Central Europe. Our allies and adversaries in the Middle East and the Indo-Pacific now know they can't count on the United States. And this move will make us all less safe, both at home and abroad. Thank you for watching Graf's Grievances. Let me know what you think. Please like, subscribe, share, and join me tomorrow for more.